Today we're going to think about the story of David and Goliath, and we're going to move and breathe as we work through the story. The story about David and Goliath is that the Philistines were scary, scary folks who were trying to fight God's people. And one of the folks on their team was Goliath, who was a giant. So stretch way nice and tall, as big as you can do, with your body long and strong. And then take your feet on both sides of your dot and reach your hands nice and wide to be big and tall like Goliath. So this hat would look just right on Goliath. It's a little silly on me, but it would be a good fit for the size and shape of Goliath. Now Goliath said, "Who will fight me?" And the God's people were scared, and nobody would fight him. And they were shouting at one another from one side to the one side of a hill to another side of a hill. And so let's make the valley with our bodies as we think about God's people shouting and Goliath and the Philistines shouting from one side of the valley to the other. So to do this today, we're going to do our sits bones on your dot. And you can take your knees for part of the heel. Your body can be the other part of the heel, or you can work yourself up to a stronger version of boat pose. But just start where you are and grow from there. So you can take the hands behind the knees. You can rock and roll up on the sits bones and rock back. You can keep the body nice and long and lift the arms. And some people can even lift the legs. Not me. All right, so there's the valley, and there's God's people, and there's Goliath, right, shouting at one another. All right, pull the knees to the chest to let the core muscles relax. And so there is a little fella named David, whose brothers are in the army for God. And David is a shepherd boy, so knees on the behind the dot, hands in front of the dot, and breathe in for your sheep. So David is watching the sheep, but his brothers are fighting for God. And David's in charge of delivering the lunch one day. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to sit on your dot, take your legs forward, smooth the peanut butter all over the sandwiches you're going to take to David's brother. This is a little self-massage. And then put your Nutella or your grape jelly or marmalade or whatever you want to add for your sandwich. And then reach up. And then fold your sandwich. Wherever you can reach is good. You might not be able to reach down to toes, but a forward fold is very relaxing and calming to the body. So David delivers, and he sees what's going on, and he sees how scared God's people are. And so he says, "I will fight Goliath." All right, so we're going to be the King Saul sitting in the throne. So stand with your feet on the dot, send your hips way back, sit on the throne. And he says, "You can't fight Goliath because you're so little." And he says, "God is going to fight Goliath. I'm going to just work for God." And so the king says, "Okay, well, if you're going to do it, then you need to put on my armor." So he puts on the helmet, he puts on the sword, he puts on the shield, he takes on the shield, he takes on the body armor. And it's way too much for little bitty David. But little bitty David thinks about taking some stones with him to the fight. And so roll over and let's go collect some stones at the river. Legs out again like when we made our sandwich. Arms up high. Reach towards your feet wherever you can reach. And then just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle your fingers as you make the water ripple down by your legs up to your hips. Stretch up high. That's one stone collected. And then 2 stone collected. Breath in as you reach high. Exhale as you fold. 3 stones collected. And maybe you find the fold gets a little deeper each time you try. 4 stones collected. And then 5 stones collected. Make a Y for your slingshot, and David's ready for the fight. So he meets Goliath, and Goliath laughs, and Goliath thinks that this is just going to be a piece of cake, right? And David says to Goliath, "It isn't how strong you are or how many swords and spears you have that will save you. It is God who saves you. This is God's battle, and God always wins his battle." So David uses the sling to hurl the stone. It hits Goliath right between the eyes, and we know that that is what takes the breath out of Goliath, and Goliath is dead, and God's people are free. And God is working through David to do this amazing job. This little guy beats this really big guy because God is giving him strength and courage and know how to get her done. So let's finish up with a superhero pose. All right, superhero pose is belly on your dot. And then you're going to take your arms out strong, your legs lift, your crown of your head is reaching forward. And you can work this multiple times, but you'll rest the body in between, wiggle hips back and forth, and try again. You're strengthening all the muscles in the back of the body as you zoom through the air like a superhero. So that's the story of Goliath, and that's David, and that's how God uses little guys to do big things. You can do good work for God. God is always with you. God is working through you. You just need to show up and breathe and let it happen.